They dispatch a runner across the battlefield to the army unit across from the town in an effort to gather intelligence. The runner is almost instantly stopped. A French family trying to flee their bombed home but caught in the crossfire is encountered as they make their way across the town via some side routes. Miller refuses, but Caparzo emerges from cover to take the child against instructions after the father demands that the squad take his small daughter to safety. A sniper shoots him in the chest, and he falls out in the open while still alive. As they are unable to rescue Caparzo, the squad seeks cover. Jackson recognizes the bell tower as the sniper's most likely shooting point right away. He locates a nearby mound of debris and hides behind it to kill the sniper. The sniper notices Jackson just in time to be shot through his own scope as he scans the team for another target. Caparzo bleeds to death and passes away. Wade pulls a blood-stained letter that Caparzo had been writing to his father from the body, and Miller stares down on his body and brutally informs his soldiers that this is why they follow orders and don't steal children. The squad and the other soldiers take a seat inside a bombed structure in another area of the village to relax. One of a sergeant's men is sent to locate their CO. When the sergeant sits down, he topples a crumbling brick wall, exposing a group of German soldiers inside. A standoff develops as both parties demand that the other lay down their weapons while simultaneously aiming their firearms in each other's direction. When the Germans are killed by machine gun fire from the unit's captain, Ted Danson, and the soldier ordered to find him, the standoff unexpectedly comes to an end. Miller inquires as to the presence of a Private Ryan, James F., and his group. Ryan, Nathan Fillion, is escorted to Miller, who informs him that his siblings are dead, after the captain confirms that he does. When the man sobs and asks how they died, Miller responds that they were slain in battle. Ryan expresses surprise and informs Miller that his brothers are still in elementary school. Miller asks the man for his full name and discovers that he is James Frederick Ryan from Minnesota. Frustrated, Miller assures Ryan that his brothers will be okay. The squad hears that Ryan might have gone to the Airborne's rallying location from another 101st affiliated private who is receiving treatment for a leg wound. The team takes some time to rest in a chapel. The blood-stained letter Caparzo intended to send his father is revised by Wade. Miller and Horvath discuss the number of guys Miller has lost while serving under his command. Miller is aware that soldiers lose their lives in battle for a greater good. Corporal Upham discusses a betting pool the guys are participating in where they try to determine Miller's pre-war employment with the captain. Miller and Upham agree in jest that he will reveal Upham the solution once the pool is large enough. A crashed troop glider is nearby when the squad reaches a rally point. There are a lot of injured soldiers at the rally point. The glider's pilot, who is seated among the men, informs them that he is unsure of how to locate Private Ryan. The pilot's glider crashed after being towed because it was too heavy to fly because steel plates had been welded to the underbelly of the glider to protect the general the pilot was transporting. The general was killed when the glider crashed. The squad considers the efforts made to safeguard just one man. A bag filled with dog tags from fallen troops is given to Miller by the pilot. Miller orders his guys to go through them for Ryan. They act in a fairly heartless manner while Army Airborne soldiers pass by. Wade sighs that his teammates are behaving pretty coldly in front of the passing airborne soldiers as he approaches and begins grabbing the tags. Miller comes to the conclusion that Ryan isn't one of them, and in a brief moment of desperation, he starts to ask the passing soldiers if they know Ryan. He strikes gold with one soldier from Ryan's team who, due to a grenade blow, has lost his hearing, so he shouts his responses. The soldier informs him that Ryan was assigned to a mixed unit that is manning a bridge in the adjacent village of Ramel that spans the Merderet River. Miller concludes that because it will allow both the army and the Germans to get their tank battalions across the sea, the bridge is crucially important. The squad departs once more. They identify Ryan as not being one of the 2 dead GIs they find in a field. A machine gun nest is discovered by Miller and Horvath close to a partially destroyed radar dish. Miller decides to destroy the German position in order to prevent the next Allied unit from being taken by surprise and being murdered, even though Reiben's suggestion to keep their distance from the machine gun and sneak past it would be simpler. The squad objects to the idea, but he won't back down and assigns them their tasks. Upham is told to remain behind with their equipment. While Upham observes through one of Jackson's rifle scopes, the squad launches an attack on the machine gun post. The men shout urgently for Upham to bring their equipment when the skirmish is done. Wade has been shot multiple times in the lower chest and is rapidly bleeding to death when Upham arrives at them. Wade says he wants to go home as he passes away despite the men's desperate attempts to save him. When one of the Germans, Jorg Stadler, is taken alive, the team swarms around him and beats him as retaliation. Wade and the two GIs they spotted in the field are to have their graves dug by Miller, who isn't sure how to deal with the German POW. Miller sternly instructs Upham to assist the German despite Upham's protests that prisoners shouldn't be treated like slaves. Miller sits to one side and sobs as the German continues to dig the graves, his right hand shaking once more. He gradually regains his composure and joins the squad again. With the exception of Upham, who has only faintly befriended the German as he dug the graves, Miller's crew wants to kill the last remaining German. The German pleads for his life while proclaiming his love for America and yelling, "Fuck Hitler." When Miller steps in, the men are unmoved and getting ready to kill him with their weapons. To the surprise of the squad, he blindfolds the German and tells him to surrender to the following Allied force before letting him walk away. Miller's compassion particularly offends Reiben, who makes a threat to Desert by claiming that their mission has resulted in the deaths of two of their companions. Reiben is told to form up by Horvath, who also holds out the threat of lethal force. Miller unexpectedly inquires about the sum of the pool on Upham as the entire squad starts to dispute angrily. In a small Pennsylvanian hamlet, Miller says he teaches English writing. The men stop arguing and look shocked. Miller claims that the war has altered him and that he is unsure whether his wife would recognize him or whether he will be able to carry on with his previous way of life when he returns home. He reasons that since finding Ryan and bringing him back will allow him to return home sooner, it is his responsibility to execute the assignment. Together, the team completes burying Wade and the other GIs. Rommel is being approached by the weary squad. They come across a German half-track while they are crossing a field. Miller issues the command for everyone to take cover as the car passes. Fire from bazookas suddenly lands on the half-track. Miller's squad is briefly perplexed and unsure of who is firing before moving in and killing Germans who are trying to flee the ruined vehicle. From their posts in the field, a small number of American soldiers show up and introduce themselves as paratroopers from various airborne groups. Matt Damon's character, Private James Ryan, is one of them. Miller's team discovers Ryan and his companions guarding one of the two intact bridges over the Merderet River in the wreckage of the settlement of Rommel. A few days prior, their commanding officer had been slain. Ryan receives a ticket home from Miller along with the news that his three brothers had passed away. Although Ryan is heartbroken to learn about his family, he insists that he must stay with his unit and guard the bridge until help can be provided. Miller can't make Ryan change his mind. Ryan claims his mother would understand his wish to stay at the bridge with the only brothers he has left. After considering Ryan's rejection, Miller and Horvath choose to remain and assist the team in defending the bridge. The unit is aware that the Germans would launch a significant attack since they destroyed a half-track that was a part of a German investigation into the men holding the bridge. Miller makes a list of the few weapons and supplies they still have and lays out a strategy for luring German tanks onto Rommel's main street, where the wreckage of demolished structures will create a bottleneck for German troops in armor, allowing their unit to flank the Germans. Reiben will ride out on a German half-track motorcycle as part of their strategy to entice the German troops into the choke point. Miller advises they make sticky bombs out of grease-coated socks that are filled with Composition B explosives. They'll turn one of the tanks into a barrier by using the sticky explosives to blow the treads off of it. Upham is tasked with supplying ammo to Mellish and 101st Paratrooper Parker's two Browning machine gun positions, Dmitry Goritz's. To offer sniper cover and allow Parker to serve as a lookout and report on the German approach, Jackson and Parker take up position in the church tower. Upham is interpreting while the guys wait for the Germans to arrive while listening to Edith Piaf's Tous es partout. His new friends appear more receptive of him and listen carefully when he interprets, even kidding him and telling their own personal stories. Ryan admits to Miller that although he can recall his brothers, he is unable to see their faces. He is advised by Miller to think about a context, something they have all done before. Miller tells Ryan that the image of his wife pruning rosebushes comes to mind when he wants to recall his wife. The oldest brother, Danny, was trying to have sex with a local girl in the hayloft when Ryan and his brothers snuck up on him and nearly set fire to the barn on their farm. When James realizes that the incident took place more than 2 years ago, before any of them had started basic training, he laughs and stops. Miller graciously declines Ryan's request to share the story of his wife and the rosebushes, stating that Ryan should have that memories to himself. The German column has arrived, according to the squad's perception of the ground beginning to rumble. Jackson broadcasts from the top of the church tower that there are 2 Tiger I heavy tanks and 2 Panzer tanks, which turn out to be Marder 3 self-propelled guns. Also present are at least 50 German soldiers. Reiben rides out to play the rabbit to entice the Germans into town as Miller commands everyone to take their positions. One of the soldiers tries to place a sticky bomb on one of the Tiger tanks as it travels along the main thoroughfare. He waits too long, the bomb explodes, and he perishes. The soldiers in mines positioned along the sides kill the German forces pursuing the tank. 2 guys place Comp B bombs on the Tiger's wheels, which causes the tread to shatter and eventually brings the vehicle to a stop. A small German squad firing a 20mm flak weapon at them as they get closer to the tank to kill its crew savagely kills several more soldiers. Throughout the conflict, Ryan and Miller's units frequently changed positions and opened fire. Several of the guys are killed despite the fact that they catch the Germans off guard. When Jackson is found in his perch, tank fire is fired at him. To stop any German flanking action, Mellish and Corporal Henderson Maximilian Martini man a .30 caliber machine gun. After Mellish defeats a German soldier, Max Steinmeier, in hand-to-hand fighting and stabs him in the chest with a bayonet, Henderson is slain. Corporal Upham is sitting on the stairs outside the chamber, immobilized with fear and unable to move to save Mellish. Mellish is killed by the German soldier, who ignores the distraught Upham as he marches off. In order to flank the 20mm gun and kill its operators, Reiben succeeds. During this time, Sergeant Horvath is hurt as he and another soldier are cornered. They each throw their helmets at one another before exchanging handgun shots. Horvath is hurt, and the German soldier is dead. When Miller gives the order for everyone to cross the bridge to their Alamo position, where they would make their final stand, he snatches Upham and flees. Horvath fires multiple bazooka rockets at the 60-ton Tiger tank, but it can't be stopped. Horvath pulls back, is shot in the chest, and dies a short while later. When a Tiger shell strikes the structure behind Miller, it blows the detonator out of his hands as he is about to destroy the bridge. The German soldier Jörg Stadler he had released loose at the radar station shoots him in the chest as he stumbles across the bridge to retrieve it. Upham, who is sheltering behind a pile of debris, sees the shooting. Miller loses his balance and falls. He pulls out his .45 pistol and starts firing aimlessly at the Tiger tank as it starts to cross the bridge. After a few shots, the tank bursts impossibly. Suddenly, a small group of P-51 Mustang fighters that had just bombed the tank and other enemy targets fly into view. Rushing to Miller's aid, Reiben and Ryan make an ambulance call. Upham is still hidden from the hostile squad on the other side of the bridge. He makes his identity known and kidnaps the entire squad. Miller's assailant recognizes Upham and addresses him by name. Upham hesitates for a second before firing his gun for the first time and kills the man. As soon as the soldier's body hits the ground, Upham sternly tells the other detainees to scatter. In a voiceover, General George Marshall's voice reads a letter to Ryan's mother notifying her that her son is returning home. Ryan names the Mustangs Tank Busters, while Miller refers to them as angels on our shoulders, pulls Ryan closer, and says with his final breath, "Earn this, earn it." Lincoln's letter included a section concerning the price of war, which he references. Ryan stands and surveys Miller's corpse. As Ryan's juvenile visage changes into Ryan in the present, the camera concentrates on him. He is by the grave of Captain Miller. He says to Miller that he wishes he had lived up to his wish and had been deserving of what Miller and his guys had done for him. He requests that his wife express to him that he has had a wonderful life and is a good man. Harrison Young's character, Ryan Sr., salutes Miller's tomb. If you like this recap, please consider subscribing, sharing it, and clicking the red button below to receive the most recent version. This will greatly facilitate the upload of future Hollywood movie recaps. I hope you enjoy and thank you for watching.